Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the webinar. We've got a lot of people joining right now, so we're going to get started here in about 1 minute. And then without further ado, we will dig in. But thanks so much for joining. It looks like we've got a lot of people who have joined, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, thanks so much for coming onto the webinar. Good afternoon to everyone. A few housekeeping things to kick us off. Just wanted to let you all know that we are recording this webinar. So in the next day or two, you are going to get a follow-up email, and you will receive all of the slides and this recording of this webinar. So just to let you know that that will be coming. Also, if you do have questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type those right into the Q&A section of Zoom. So we'll be kind of monitoring those. If we have time at the end, we'll go ahead and try and get those answered or throughout. And if we don't get to yours question throughout the webinar, we'll make sure and follow up with an email after the fact too. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to do some introductions. My name is Lisa Wolf. I'm the Director of Products here at Defined. I have over 20 years of experience spanning teaching and educational leadership, assessment, curriculum development, client relations, and of course, product development. So I'm so excited to be introducing our wonderful presenters and as well as hosting the webinar here for you today. So I want to go ahead and introduce who's going to be doing the majority of the talking today. We're going to start with Mike Speziale, who is the CEO of MIDA Learning Technologies. They specialize in educational research, educational technology, and its integration in instructional systems, curriculum alignment, as well as professional development. So Mike is an experienced educational leader with a demonstrated history of innovation in education. He's going to be talking a lot about some research in career pathways, as well as a partnership that we have with Broken Arrow and some research that we're doing with them. Following Mike, you're going to hear from Sharon James, who is the Executive Director of Secondary Education at Broken Arrow Public Schools in Oklahoma. She has over 25 years of experience. As a first-generation college student, Sharon's philosophy for education has been that all students can be successful if given the opportunity to find a pathway that supports their goals and aspirations. She's going to be sharing a lot of what they're doing at the district level with Defined Careers and a lot of their vision and some really innovative work that they've got going on. Then we're going to hear from Kaylin Miller, who's a middle school counselor in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and she has 4 years of teaching experience, 7 years of school counseling experience, and has worked as an LPC. She also serves as the middle school lead counselor for one of the largest districts in schools in Broken Arrow. Kaylin's goal is that students are confident in themselves and their decision-making skills and successfully move through their education pathways and beyond. And she's going to give us some real life applications and how it's going on at that middle school level with Defined Careers. So our agenda for today, we've kind of gone through the flow of the speakers. This is kind of going to be some of the topics that you're going to hear from. Like I said, we'll kick it off with Mike. You're going to hear a little bit about a lit review that's going on with career pathways research, as well as some future research that we're going to have related to career pathways. Then we're going to dig into the Broken Arrow's project pathways and how they're using Defined Careers with ICAP, kind of supporting their why, as well as what they're doing with their portrait of a graduate. And then finally, we'll see Defined Careers in action and how this is working at the middle school. Then we'll do some wrap up at the end. So we're going to go ahead and dig in. Mike, you are up. So I'm going to put this up here for you and turn it over to you. I'm going to put myself on mute.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Pleasure to be with all of you today. And thanks for the introduction. As Lisa said, my name is Mike Speziale. I've been in education, I can't believe I'm saying this, for 40 plus years, and I've been the CEO of MIDA Learning Technologies for the past 15 years, and doing a bunch of research, especially in project-based learning. Pleasure to be here today, and a pleasure to be an opening act for Sharon and Kaylin. So I promise to be brief, and I wanted to share some of the highlights and research that we're working on. We're currently working on a project with Broken Arrow and with Defined on a longitudinal study to look at the project that Sharon has been implementing within the district and working with the folks at Broken Arrow to see what the impact is of the implementation of the Career Pathways program that you're going to hear about in just a couple minutes. So taking a look at this first slide, and I'm going to thank Lisa for being my mouse clicker here as we go through this stuff. But as you take a look at this slide, the first thing that we're looking at is a very traditional career pathway, probably one that I experienced, maybe many of you have, if you've been around for a while, where you went to high school, you went to college, graduated from college, and you went on to a career and hopefully a successful career pathway in that respect. That traditional model has been based in really two different factors. One is it's rooted in the thinking that colleges provide better job training in general than do any other career training models, right? And the second is that there's been a traditional stigma in the United States associated with vocational and technical training. Not so much in the rest of the world, but that stigma still exists to some extent in the United States, but it is changing. Lisa, would you go to the next slide? Thank you. So what you see here is I've added to this traditional pathway, added a couple different factors for both the high school and post-secondary area that focuses more on what those career and vocational and technical training aspects are, both at the high school and the post-secondary level. And they're gaining more momentum, and we'll see some reasons why in just a couple seconds. One more thing to note, and next slide, please, Lisa, is that in order for the momentum to be maintained, it really is important for school districts to have a very close working relationship with local and regional businesses and industries, so that those business and industries can see the value added that schools are bringing to training students in terms of developing skills that are sought by those business and industries for employers. Next slide, please, Lisa. And so what I'd like to share are a couple of highlights that we found in doing the literature review for the research study with Broken Arrow. And these are not in any priority order, but some of the things that stand out in terms of what happens in a successful career pathway. First of all, it creates relevance, right? So it answers the age-old question of why am I studying this? You know, students have asked that forever. And so it makes a direct link between what students are learning in schools in terms of academic programming and what their interests are in terms of long-term career goals. And although that's true, many schools are not providing adequate career training, and literature supports the fact that many schools are not doing it because they don't have the adequate resources for teachers, nor have they developed the adequate strategies for teachers to be able to employ in terms of career training for students. And that's some of what you'll hear about today. There are many positives, however, that come out of a successful career program. One is that students who have gone through a program have a 17% on average higher earning potential throughout their lifetimes. And within the school system, the successes that occur are higher college going rates, increased academic performance, lower dropout rates, and correspondingly increases in attendance. And next slide, please, Lisa. The research also supports the fact that the time to really start is in middle school. I mean, I know a lot of school districts have implemented this in elementary school, which is also important. But the most formative time in terms of developing a career pathway program is the middle school level, when kids start to emerge in terms of their interests and values and career interests. Next slide, please. Next one. We'll just jump right there. Thank you. So here are some of the highlights from project-based learning, which is related here, and we'll talk a little bit about that throughout the presentation. But in our research in project-based learning, both in what we've done through the studies that we've conducted and the research that we've uncovered in the literature, is that in almost every instance that we find that student engagement and motivation are increased significantly. We also found that it's been linked to student academic performance and increases in academic performance. Project-based learning increases student competencies and soft skills, including 21st century skills, communication, collaboration, and such, and social emotional skills and self-moderation and interpersonal skills, which are key elements of what businesses and industries are looking for. And we'll tie that together in just a second. It's also a great way to differentiate learning, because the way you implement project-based learning can reach students of all levels and be adaptive for all interests and all level abilities. And lastly, we found over time that teachers' perceptions of project-based learning are generally quite positive. And so you see a really positive atmosphere in classrooms. Next slide, please, Lisa. So I thought I'd share just a couple key numbers here, and we thought we'd do it in a fun way, although it's not very interactive because we're doing it on a webinar basis. But you know, if I was on Jeopardy, I'd be going for the high number issues here because I wouldn't have any money. So I'm going to go to numbers to know for 600, please, Lisa. And so the answer is 12. And the question is, how many jobs will the average person hold in his or her lifetime? And I know that sounds like a lot, but if you talk to a lot of people, it's really not. And if you go to the next slide, Lisa, one of the things that we need to consider as we prepare students for careers of the future is that many of these careers don't exist now, right? So I've invested in 8-tracks and cassettes and all those things, and they've disappeared. And if I studied to be a Kodak chemist to develop film, that job would be pretty much long gone by now. So what we're training students now for is adaptability. And so we need to give them the skills and the soft skills to be adaptable for careers that don't exist yet. Next slide, please, Lise. And so let's go for numbers to know for 400. And the number is 65. The answer is 65. And the question is, how many job openings were predicted to require college training as of April of 2021? And it's 65%, and that's a pretty high number. 35% were predicted to require at least a bachelor's degree, and 30% were required to required some level of college, if not an associate's degree. So why is that number so high? If you go to the next slide, please, Lise. It's high because employers have traditionally used colleges as a gateway to employment. They believe that applicants with college degrees are more job ready, and those with degrees possess more hard and soft skills than those students who have not graduated with college experience, either associates or bachelor's degree. But you'll see there's a conflict involved in here as well as we go to the next slide. And we go for numbers to know for 200. And the answer is 45. And the question is, what was the percentage decrease in entry-level jobs requiring a bachelor's degree since the pandemic? I guess you can refer to that as the Jeopardy COVID daily double, because you see the conflict. Because, you know, as you look toward numbers in April of 21, it was projecting a much higher college requirement for job entry, and now you're seeing a decrease in that. And why is that true? It's because the pandemic created a tremendous job shift, right? Our workforce shifted tremendously. And you saw that over the years as you watched the news over the past couple of years in the pandemic. And it's hard for employers to find qualified workers. And so what's happened is there's been a shift in thinking in terms of business and industry and looking for employees who are skilled and being able to find them without the college degree that they once thought was the golden ticket, right? So now they're looking for workers that have the skill set and the experience. And so we're bypassing the college degree aspect of that traditional career path, and we're finding that more and more career and technical programs that train students either at the secondary level or post-secondary level are being more widely accepted. And so this is my last slide, and basically I wanted to tell you that the reason here is because colleges have not produced anticipated outcomes over the years, right? They've not met the need for the soft skills development of students, and they've not met many of the hard skill needs either as they train their students for professions, but they're not preparing them for their first jobs. In fact, there was a high degree in the research that we did, a high number of students who suggested that when they graduated from college, they weren't ready for their first positions. And so there's that great disconnect. And so this last slide that I'm showing is really the research that we're doing with Broken Arrow and Defined. And it looks at the key elements, the 6 key elements of research. And we're focusing on the ones that you see highlighted in black here: the engagement of industry and business partners with Broken Arrow, education and training program design that Sharon's going to be talking about shortly, and the metrics and the measurements of the system to see how it best works. And so to conclude, I'm going to say that the disillusionment with the job readiness in colleges has produced a void and created an opportunity for high schools to be able to meet the needs of future students who are exiting high school, going on to post-secondary vocational training, or even going on to college. And I think it's a great opportunity for career pathways to be implemented in schools. And so I'll turn it over to Sharon.
Thank you, Mike. Let me get my stuff pulled up here for you. Just one moment, sorry. Okay. First of all, thank you, Mike, for sharing that. As he was walking through the research piece, it reminded me of our process and our journey that our district has gone through to really find out how to meet the needs of our students. And we were identifying we needed to increase graduation rates. We had we were only sitting in the 80%, kind of 80 to 84%. We were struggling with that. We were struggling to connect the courses or classes that students were sitting in and connect those to their actual goals and their goals for when they graduated high school, where they wanted to go, what they wanted to do, what college program they wanted to enter, what career field they were trying to go to. In addition to that, about the same time that our district began to say, hey, we got to find a way to help our students see where they're going and connect these things, our state came out and said, hey, we're going to start requiring students to, complete an ICAP, an individualized career academic plan. And I'm sure each of you in your own states have that, and it's probably called different things, but it really did align with what our district strategic plan was in place. So what we did, and what I want to do is to give a shout out real quick before I dive into this for defined careers, because we knew what we needed to do. We were able to work through what we were doing, and we were outlining all these process and alignment of policies, kind of like Mike talked about. But it really took defined careers to help us bring it together and have that locomotive or that piece that helped bring it together and make it work. Because our main thing was we cannot add one more thing to a counselor's plate. We cannot add one more thing to our teacher's plate. Their workloads were so high. So to find something that accomplished everything, that was engaging for students, but also minimized the work on the staff or on the front lines was the most important for us. So I'm gonna kind of dive in here with our with the slideshow here that I have my presentation. So first of all, for us, we created project pathways. We pulled in, one of the things that Mike talked about was getting your community and your business. So we brought them in. We had a huge committee where we came together, and they told us, the businesses told us what we needed, what they were looking for in employees when they hired. We also brought in things for college. We connected and partnered with our college and universities nearby. What else do you guys need? How can we prepare our students to go whichever path they wanted to go? So we started implementing our ICAP. We used defined careers to help do that. We also created a career pathways, which is our catalog that aligns all of our courses, 9th through 12th grade, and connects it to the career cluster or job that a student's looking to do. So within that pathway, we'll say, here's our courses, here's what you can do in our local technology center. Here is a project. Lisa and I are now working to pull in some of the things from defined careers to say, hey, if you're interested in this, here's where you can go and defined careers to find out more information, or the project-based learning opportunity that you could have if you want to work through that. And last but not least was our portrait of a graduate. To us, a lot of you may have seen this. It's kind of several different districts across the country are doing it. Some call it a profile, some a portrait. And we try to say, we don't just want to prepare kids for college, we got to prepare them for careers, for them to be able to leave the high school and be able and be competitive to get the job that they need. Thirdly, we wanted to really connect that they knew where to go and what to look for, and are they life ready? We have a lot of students. Do you know how to advocate? Do you know how to write a resume? Can you complete an application? And again, defined careers really was the answer to our prayers. I'm gonna have to say that, and finding a way to pull this all together. So I'm just gonna review on my part, kind of what our ICAP was. Our ICAP requirements and our Portrait of a Graduate initiative really helped us identify what the interests were, what skills they needed, what post-secondary workforce goals the students were trying to achieve. And that helped us work with our businesses in our community to find internships, whether it's paid or unpaid, or job shadowing opportunities. and also what skill set that they're going to need so that we can both give them those soft skills, but also the academic foundation that they needed to be successful. So as we begin to look at that, we're like, okay, we have to do interest in assessments. Otherwise, we're not going to know what courses to offer our STIP kiddos, what internships to really go out and try to recruit and get more of our students. So Defined Careers help meet that process for us. Secondly, we really wanted students to look at writing their post-secondary and the workforce goals and progress to those goals. If I know I'm wanting to take advantage of, ours is called Tulsa Technology, that's our local technology center, then students needed to know, I need to kick out these graduation requirements and get them out of the way. I need to ensure that I have a certain GPA that will make me valuable student that I can, get accepted into this program. And so again, Defined Careers helped us with that because there's a way we can measure that and students can submit it to the program and to the program, the dashboard. Thank you. Trying to find my words here. To the dashboard that would help us keep up with that and allow kids to visit it over several years. And last but not least, it's great to say you have a portrait of a graduation or a graduate or a profile, but then how do you accountability piece keep up with that? We did not, again, want to put it on our counselors or our assistant principals. We didn't want to do that. We had to find a way that students could advocate for themselves and demonstrate, show evidence and artifacts that they have met certain things without putting just more pressure onto our staff members. So again, Defined Careers really help close that gap for us. So when we talk about the why we're using Defined Careers, why we're moving in this direction, I think it really kind of relates back to every single thing that Mike shared with us. We needed to help connect students to what their goals were in the classes they were in. If you're like me, you have students who can go down and work at the local convenience store and make $12. For some students, that is a lot of money when you're 16, 17. And for them to be setting, and I always tell my staff, I use the course basket weaving because I won't offend any of my people because we don't teach that. For them to like, how is basket weaving helping me? I could be working at the convenience store. I could be working in my dad's business. I could be working over here, making money. Instead, I'm stuck in this classroom. And on top of that, I'm gonna misbehave because it's not relevant to me. There's no purpose. I'm just checking off a box. So we really needed a program such as Defined Careers that allowed kiddos to say, hey, this course does connect. And if it doesn't connect or relate to what you're wanting to do, let's make some different choices as we do pre-enrollment. Also, it helped us through Defined Careers, and as kids begin to decide what they want, what their interest is, the pathways they're selecting, allow us to move from teachers will say, well, I love this. I like to teach this, as opposed to this is what our students need. We need to offer more sections of this course. A lot of times, sometimes the master schedule is driven by teacher needs or wants. And so we're trying to balance that back out. Like, we want you to be passionate about what you're teaching, but we also want it to be a program or a course the kids want to be in that class, and they see how your course relates to that. So we focus on the importance of courses and where they fit into our pathway, and to help kids. It's overwhelming. As a district, one of our initiatives was we started an early college high school. We have our STEM Academy. We have concurrent enrollment where kiddos can take, and get college courses and get credit for that. There's so many choices that they need directions and help, And it is not the same school our parents went through, or our students' parents. They need help, they need guidance. So the programming that we have, the outline that we have, and then the use of Defined Careers helps the students and families understand the choices that they're making. We also try to increase real-world experiences in the workplace learning by offering internships, job shadowing, just anything that falls under that. And again, Defined Careers has helped us do that. How do we disseminate this information? It's one thing if I can create a partnership with somebody and establish several internships, but if I can't get that information out to the right kiddos, it does me no good to have that partnership. So we ran into in the weeds, moving from it's a great idea to how do we accomplish this? Again, I got to give a shout out to Lisa's team, how much they helped us work and find a way to make it easy on everybody, but make it accessible to all the students that needed to be informed of the opportunities that we had. and support those workforce by enabling the students to meet workforce needs. Through our Portrait of a Graduate, we worked with our community, and they're like, hey, if kiddos are college ready or career ready or life ready, we will guarantee them an interview. So connecting those relationships with the community, but them also understanding the program or initiative we were doing in our district is really invaluable. That was the biggest piece. I think that when I reflect back, I was like, oh, thank goodness we did that, because we have gained so much benefit from that committee and that discussion and that relationship and partnerships that we had with our community. And last but not least is really accountability. How many internships are we offering, and what certifications do kiddos need? We have to keep up with all of that, and to find ways to do that, it's difficult. And a lot of times it tends to be our counselors to take the load of that. And I repeat myself again, Define Careers really helped me find a way to make it easier for our staff to meet those needs for students. I just want to share with you our Portrait of a Graduate. As we were looking at this, it was awesome. You can look at it and you're thinking, okay, this is awesome. Of course, students who are college ready should be making an A, B, or C in Algebra 2. Research tells us they're more apt to finish college if they have a 2.8. And so it's one thing to say, well, they're going to do all these things or so many of these criteria. But when it comes down to the collection of this and the accountability piece, it was becoming like, I don't know, right? And I didn't want this just to be a piece of paper and we just check marked it and everybody got it, every student met it, because it really devalued it. And I had the community and the businesses buying in, saying, if your kiddos are actually doing this, then we're going to support you and help provide them opportunities to get into the workforce as they either go to college or they work through licensure or certification until they find the job that they're looking for. So again, by working with a team at Define Careers, we were able to build that dashboard that kiddos could go in and upload those artifacts. They could produce evidence that demonstrated for us, hey, I've done this. I did my extra hours. I am career ready. I'm 95% attendance rate. I'm achieving that. And if you're like me, like 95%, I was like, can we just put 90%? But the business leaders in our community were like, no, Sharon, we're not doing that. Like, I would fire somebody if they're only showing up 90% of the time. So if you're telling me these kids are career ready, then they are actually meeting these certain specific areas. And so by doing that and then working with Define Careers, we were able to find a process in which we could place this evidence that students could prove and advocate that, yes, I'm college ready, yes, I'm career ready, and yes, I'm life ready. And then with the reports and other accountability pieces that Lisa's team helped us help create for us, we're able to recognize those students and celebrate their achievement, either at graduation or a different award ceremony. So it took it from just being an initiative, like, oh, we do this, to actually, we do this. This is what we do. This is who we are. I know that was a whole lot. So hopefully if you do have questions, like Lisa said, please share those. So I'm going to toss this back to my coworker and one of the most phenomenal school counselors I've worked with, Miss Kaylin Miller.
Hello, I'm Kaylin Miller, and I am a middle school counselor. So middle school in Broken Arrow is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We have 5 different middle schools here in Broken Arrow that all feed into a freshman academy and then a high school. And I'm just going to talk about kind of what it looks like at the building level and how we've utilized Define Careers this year. I wanted to talk about the staff side, kind of how we got the staff trained and on board first, but I think the most important part of that, or the biggest piece, is that there was a committee that determined Define Careers was the application that we wanted to go with. So it wasn't just Sharon making the decision. It was a committee that was probably, would you say, like, it lasted about a year, and it was a very open committee. We listened to a lot of different applications, and we kind of all determined pretty universally that we all wanted to go with Define Careers. So it was nice to be able to say, to our teachers, one, that I was on the committee and I saw all these different things, but two, that we determined as a committee the way we wanted to head. So in September, the administrators and counselors were trained on defined careers. Lisa flew in with a couple other pieces of her team, and the administrators and counselors attended a training together. So all year we kind of talked about to our teachers, this is coming, this is replacing XYZ that we used before. Of course, they were kind of nervous about a new program, but excited about the replacement. And we also, and then we trained teachers in December. So once we knew that, we had the data side good, all the students were in the program, we trained the teachers in December. Now, before we went to the training, and the training was in person, Lisa and Mike was there, trained all of our middle school teachers, and high school had been trained as well. But before we headed to the training, the counseling team presented a why and how to our teachers. So it was the same presentation at all 5 middle schools that we all looked at together, and just talking about why are we doing this program, how we're going to utilize it, how we'll support them, and just the why behind it. And so the on-site, we trained about how we're going to use it and why, and then the program training was done by Defined Careers for our staff. And then the support part, sorry, Lisa, if you could go back one. And then I'll talk about how we utilize it at the building, but part of the support that we offer to kind of help teachers, because we do it through advisory, is we created scripts that they used. We call them Loom videos, so videos of us doing some of the teacher side of the work so that they can review it, and step-by-step directions. And then of course, anytime that we do a task here on site, we make ourselves available. There's 2 counselors here, so we're always available to help during that time. And then after the training, we also had the teachers complete the interest assessment, and that was really good for them to go through as a student and see what it looks like. And it was interesting to talk about for everyone. Okay, next slide. Okay, sorry, I am, at school, so it's going to ring again in about 4 minutes. I'm kind of hidden in a classroom, but you might hear them walking by. So in Broken Arrow, we have advisory every day in middle school, and then at the high school, it's a couple times a week because they are very large. But middle school, we have advisory every day, and it's 45 minutes. So we use that time for social and emotional learning and career-based lessons. Because we knew Defined Careers wasn't going to be ready in September for us, at our site, we kind of focused on social and emotional learning first semester, and careers and enrollment and kind of planning for the future second semester. So it actually fit in really well. So in December, the students completed the assessment before we left for winter break. And again, we made a script for teachers to do step-by-step directions, starting with even, open up your computer, go to your Canvas course, and how to log on. And then in January, we reviewed the assessment results with the students. And then the students completed a SMART goal. And I'll show you an example of that, but a SMART goal is also part of the ICAP requirements of our state. And of course, it's good to do. We were already doing a SMART goal here, but then, they were kind of completing the SMART goal in advisory, and then there was nowhere we were putting it or a place for students to review it. So kind of like Portrait of a Graduate, it was happening, but we couldn't necessarily prove it. And, middle schoolers, to review their SMART goal, it needs to be somewhere where they can go back and see it. And then in February, we identified career clusters. So students use their assessment results to identify and tag at least one career cluster. And then I'll kind of show you an example. We're in the process of it, but we're tagging all students' career clusters in our student information system so that we can track that data for them and when and if it changes. And then in March, we started our group projects. So there are several projects in Defined Careers that students can work on. And we determined as a team that we would do group projects for our first project just to try to mitigate the teachers and the students being overwhelmed. Okay, next slide. So these are a couple examples. Again, we're in the middle of a project. We're on tomorrow will be our third day of working on the group project, and we just do it on Wednesdays. So here, Wednesdays are the days that counselors get to determine what we do in advisory. But here is one example of an 8th grade SMART goal, and this example is from the viewpoint of the teacher. So I took the screenshot as if I were the teacher reviewing the SMART goal. And the student put that she wanted to have all A's in her classes, preferably above a 95 by the end of the school year. So in May, about a week before school's over, we'll review our SMART goals, and the students will and teachers will kind of comment how they did on it. And then the teacher will review it. And then these bottom 2 screenshots are some responses to when they were starting their projects. So one of the questions is, what do you like best about the careers and work done within this career cluster? And she says, I like to organize things, so I'd like to be a stock worker. And then in logistics, planning, and management, they talk about how do your own interests, skills, and abilities relate to careers in this pathway, and they align with the pathway because I'm good at problem solving and overseeing projects. I think I would be kind of good. So the teacher can go in and view that and accept it, or reject it or make a comment on it, and the student on the other side can see that they have done that. Okay, so what are we doing with our, oh, sorry, one second. So what are we doing with our identified career cluster choices besides keeping them in defined careers? On the right side is a screenshot from our student data management system, and we are going in and program tagging the career clusters for each student because it has a start date and an end date. We'll review them all the next year, and if a student has changed it, we will mark that. We won't delete any of the history, so we can kind of see when it changed, maybe why it changed. And it's just a report that we were able to pull from Defined Careers, which was awesome. We kind of said, here's what we're looking for, here's what we need, and they made it happen. And explore your pathways, all these conversations, we're talking about pathways. And in 8th grade enrollment, all students and families current 8th graders enrolling for 9th grade, starting high school, met one-on-one with a counselor. So in those meetings, we reviewed our project of a portrait of a graduate. And I was able to say, and we also have different pathways. They can go in different buildings here. You can go to Tulsa Tech, you can go to our STEM Academy, you can go to our early college high school program. And so in those meetings, I would say, are you applying to any of those? If you're not, why? If you are, why? And I was able to say, well, what was the pathway that you chose or the career cluster that you chose in your defined careers? Oh, you're not sure? I can pull it up really quickly. And then once we get that program tagged, I can pull it up even more quickly in that. And so it really facilitated conversations. And then when I would review the portrait of a graduate with the students, I would say, how we're working on XYZ in defined careers, where you put your SMART goal, that's exactly where you'll keep track of your portrait of a graduate. And so it really pieced it all together for them. And it also helps us to easily identify groups for internship opportunities or scholarships. So when they go to our high school, which is a very large high school, counselors or whomever can send targeted messages to that specific cluster of students who might be interested in specific scholarships or internship opportunities. And I didn't list this on the slide, but also we use defined careers in our 8th grade to 9th grade transition IEPs. So those file teachers are not having to come up with their own assessments and trying to piece together things, and they're already using something that the students are familiar with. And then I have one more slide, and this is just talking to the teachers kind of about what they think about defined careers so far this year. And they feel like it's able to engage multiple types of learners, which it is. You can also choose on the teacher side to make a student's defined careers foundational. So that just lowers the reading level a little bit and puts it more on their level if it's needed. It's a great way for students to explore careers on a deeper level, and applications make the lessons more meaningful and relevant. So doing the group projects, and teachers can look at assessment answers and results to leverage student skills, interests, and values within the core classroom courses. And I will say the way the teachers see it, it's not just a dashboard of 150 students. It's by their advisory class, so it really helps them not become so overwhelmed and be able to focus and zone in on that specific group of students. The program is definitely intuitive and easy to navigate. I can say sometimes when we have an assessment or something going on through Defined Careers, I'll come out of my office during that time and say to the other counselor, "Did your phone ring during that time?" And she'll say no. And I'm like, okay, mine either. That's kind of weird, but it just moves really well. It goes smoothly, and we haven't run into any issues, and teachers can easily monitor and check in on student responses and engagement inside the program. And that is my last slide.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kaylin, for all of your insights there. Just real briefly, I'm going to show very quickly, you've heard now from Mike from the research side, Sharon kind of talking about the district level, what Defined Careers is, how it's being used, and now from Kaylin at the building level. What if you just kind of a sneak peek and walk you through a little bit, because you've heard a lot about the little parts, and hopefully this will kind of put it together in terms of what is Defined Careers in case you're interested in this as well. So I'll go very quickly here, but I'm on the student side right now in terms of the dashboard of what this would look like for Defined Careers. You heard Kaylin talk about the assessment. So we do have a multidimensional assessment that is looking at 3 different parts for the student. We're looking at their interests, their values, as well as their study preferences, and that's available on demand. It takes less than a class period, usually around 20-ish minutes or so, and students can take that. I know Broken Arrow is planning to do that every year. You heard them say kind of how they're going to track those student interests as well as their career clusters. So we've got those 3 parts that we provide information on, and then we recommend career pathways. We have over 500 careers across the 16 major career clusters and 79 career pathways, and we're really trying to provide a personalized experience for students. Students are able to, first of all, discover their interests through the assessment. Then they're going to be exposed to careers by kind of exploring all of the different careers within their pathways, being able to take a look at all of those different careers. And then they're going to be able to explore careers through a career course. So I'm going to show you what those career courses are. We've got over 5 of those for each career pathway. And then, of course, they're going to be able to experience the careers. You've heard about the projects that they've been doing at Broken Arrow and the experiences that they're going to get to do. So I'm going to show you that very quickly here. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. You can see as a demo account, I have a bunch in here. I'm just going to show you very quickly the structure of it. Kaylin showed you some check-in questions and what it looks like from the educator side. Each particular career course and each career, think of a career course as just learning about one particular career. So we've got over 500 courses. That means over 500 careers that students get to explore. They're going to start, and they're all going to be set up the same way through this lesson format. There's going to be 5 lessons in each one of these careers. They're going to start by learning about the cluster introduced with a video and have those check-in questions where they can do some reflection. Same thing in lesson 2, except for now it's going from the cluster to the pathway and kind of focus, narrowing in a little bit. I'm going to show you lessons 3 and 4 very quickly, because this is where that hands-on experience in the project-based learning comes into play. These are set up so it's very easy for a student to navigate through this presentation view. They're going to be set up with the instructions. We're going to set the stage with a video on the goal, role, audience, and situation. Just in the interest of time, I'm not going to show this, but I am going to show you a web page where you can watch this exact video here at the end. It's going to be the landing page. You'll get this an email of it, and I also have a QR code where you can go and watch this on your own. If you're familiar with Understanding by Design by Wiggins and McTighe, we do use that model for the goal, role, audience, and situation to make sure that this is a real life context for the students to make it engaging for them, as well as using real life companies. In this particular one, they are going to be a game designer for Nintendo, designing their own characters and a video storyline flowchart. Introducing them to vocab. We've got research resources for them. And then 2 product choices. Each career has 2 hands-on projects that are there for the students to really be a day in the life of whatever type of career they're exploring. So in this case, we had those 2, a video game character where they have to design their own character, think of any sort of powers, all of the things that a game designer would have to do when designing a character. And for product 2, they're going to create that flow chart. So this is where they're thinking through that story of that actual project. And each particular career has something a little bit different, but it's always going to have 2 different products that are directly related to that career. We help them out with the design process in case PBL is new to them, thinking through that brainstorming, creating, analyzing, deciding, all of that good stuff. And then their next steps. This is where they're going to create their project. They can upload a file, or if they're using Google Drive, we've got rubrics in here in case this wants to be the educator wants to assess it at all, and it's right there for the the students to see as well. And anything that they upload becomes part of their portfolio, which I do want to show you as well, because that's another thing that Broken Arrow is using quite a bit, because that's where their portrait of a gallery or portrait of a graduate is as well. Lesson 4 then is that next steps, kind of that career deep dive, is that roadmap for them to kind of think through what are they going to do next. I really liked working on those projects. Tell me more about how I can become, in this case, a video game designer. So here students are going to kind of help fill in any gaps with a video. We're going to provide them an overview of that career. We're going to provide that education outlook and salary, so then kind of start to think through some other things. I'm based in the Denver, Colorado area, so this is showing me colleges near me, but this would show colleges near a particular student, so they can kind of start to make those plans if they wanted to go that far, and of course can search by type, size, as well as by state. And then we know personal finance literacy is also incredibly important for students. So we do have a personal budget project where they can think through, okay, that was going to be the salary for that particular job. If I'm thinking through what type of post-secondary institution I want to go to, whether I can start at a community college or go to a technical school, or whether I need a 4-year, graduate work, start to think through what student loans might look like, start to think through the housing, the cost of living. We've got templates already set up for them where they can download and start to think through what a personal budget would be as well. Now, I also want to mention, because Sharon talked a lot about connecting students to internships and apprenticeships and job shadowing. We do have a place right in Defined Careers where any admin within a school or district can send out, this is just a sample one here, related to whatever type of thing that you'd like to connect students to a particular career, a career pathway or cluster, any internships or apprenticeships that you would like students to be aware of. So that can be done right through Defined Careers as well. Upload your own image, a description, any links, maybe it's a job opportunity or any files, or maybe it's just an extension of this particular career that teachers want to use. We hear a lot of good, you heard, in terms of advisory is how Broken Arrow is using it. We hear CTE is another great place where this is being used, and maybe a teacher just wants to extend that career. So that is in there as well. Lesson 5 is just going to be a survey, kind of getting feedback on what did the student think of that career pathway, that career, and all of that good stuff. They do have access to all of the career courses here, and teachers can assign these out as well. So if you want to use it as a student-driven tool, that works perfectly, or it can be teacher-driven, where if you want to assign a whole course out, and I know Broken Arrow had said that they want to have this be very personalized, but to get dip their toes in the water, they had everybody doing the same one for that very first one, and then they're going to have it be more where the students get to choose moving forward. So it can be both ways, which is really nice too. But we've got all of those recommendations. Students can search by keyword or educators. We've got it broken down into the career clusters, and then all of the pathways within the clusters as well. So I'm going to close by showing you the portfolio here, because that's another important part that you heard a lot about from Broken Arrow. So I mentioned as I was going through the course, students are uploading their work. They are able to take a look at or have all of these projects housed, and this sticks with them from year to year. So Broken Arrow is using this in grades 6 through 12. As students use this from year to year, they'll have this online record of all of their projects and all of these careers that they've explored. So those are anything that they've uploaded is going to be part of their project showcase. So that's where anything part of Defined Careers is going to be housed. They also have a place where they can upload any sort of personal projects. So whether they're creating SMART goals and want to put them there, or maybe it's proof of community service, or they want to show proof of test scores, that's an option. We also have a place for them to upload their resume. This is the customizable plans part. So I'm going to go into Broken Arrows here as an example, because you already heard Sharon talk about it. I want to show you how this looks exactly. And you saw a screenshot in Kaylin's presentation as well, how this looks. This would be a customizable section for your school or district or state to help measure any of those metrics that you would like that are personal for you. So we've got this in here, and how this is set up. You heard them talk about their SMART goals, and Kaylin showed one that a student had submitted. We've got their SMART goals, as well as those 3 parts to their portrait of a graduate: college ready, career ready, and life ready. So each metric is in here. We've got all of their grade levels here, 6th, 7th, 8th, all the way through 12th. Students can go in and self-assess. as well as go through and add comments. So Kaylin had showed that a student had written that goal that they wanted to have straight A's, and what a great goal that is too. Then we've got all of the other parts of their plan down here, so students can go in and again self-evaluate. Where am I? Has it been started? Is it in progress? Has it been completed? We've got all of those in there. You saw it can tie right back to those personal projects. I've got both of the college entrance exams here, since that was something that was in their plan. You saw the ACT scores were already uploaded, so that's marked as complete and locked. Compared to SAT, it's in progress because it has been, they're registered for it. So lots of different ways that this could be used within your school or district. Now, I did get a question in the chat. They wanted to see, Sharon and Kaylin, I hope this is okay. I'm going to do a quick search here for your portrait of a graduate. They wanted and you know what, I looked for it for so many times, it pops right up. Just
yes,
wanted to,
absolutely, Lisa.
yes,
Sure.
I'm like, we're on your
Yeah.
website, they can go find it.
Yeah.
But if you go to baschools.org, right in project pathways, this is where you can go. Like I said, I work with Sharon on a number of projects, so I'm here quite a bit, but you'll see it's right here, our portrait of a graduate. So this is out there for everybody. In fact, let me put this in the chat too, so that way people have got it. Put this out there to everyone. There. Okay, so that's right there, and you can see what theirs is. I know another site that I've gone to quite a bit, just for those looking at portraits of a graduate, is Battelle has a really nice one where a bunch of them are posted all right there. But there you can see Broken Arrows and what they've done, and we kind of took what they had put together and put it into Defined Careers, and then they can run reports on their end. So with that, the other thing, because it did come through as a question, I can't remember, I replied, but a question came through in the chat, can we message to students? And the answer is yes, we do have messages right here. You can do direct messaging right to students based on a certain check-in question or something that's been uploaded. There's also ways for students to announce to whole classes too, so that's there too. I'm going to put, just because we are, looks like I've got everything in here. I'm going to put a link up here to this website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. We've got a landing page here. That video that I didn't show, it's right in here. You can view any of those different, we've got kind of some samples, or if you'd like to register for a web demo or your own demo account, this website right here, I'll also put it in the chat, is available for you to sign up for one of those as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here again with my slides. I'll put that up here.
Lisa, there was one additional question, and from Mike Parnell, said an impressive presentation. You had to catch a class at 1:55. He was wondering if a copy of the recording would be made available.
Yes. Yep. We are recording this. Thanks for catching that, Mike. We are recording this. So in a couple of days, we will be sending out the recording. So you'll have access to all of that as well. So want to thank everybody, all of our presenters, of course, Mike and Sharon and Kaylin. We're so thankful for you to share your experiences and your knowledge with us today on the webinar. And thank you to all who attended or are going to view the recording later on. So in this case, here's the link. If you would like to go right to that landing page, learn a little bit more, or sign up for your own a web demo or a demo account, we'd love to have you. But with that, I will go ahead and wrap up for the day, and thanks, and have a great rest of your day.